Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a strategic leader upheld for his experience in building and operating high-impact emerging companies. He is the co-founder and CEO of Pytheus Energy. His nearly 25-year professional career spans real estate, high-impact technology, and oil and gas industries. Amazing opportunities are present right here today, which we're going to kind of tap into in AI for energy and innovation, and even Bitcoin mining with no electricity use from the grid, which is kind of a cool topic we want to talk about. Thrive Loud listeners, excited to connect you with Josh Zuker. Josh, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thank you, Lou. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So you've had a pretty cool career in history, and what I want to do for our listeners is I want to do a little rewind. Josh, I do not want to go all the way back to the womb, but I kind of want to go and understand how this now became the focus of what you are doing today.
This company was created, actually, crazy story, through an investment that I made that went bad. I was in California at the time, from Chicago originally, and I got my MBA. I'm 57 now, probably shouldn't say, but I am. I'm about 12 years ago, I went and got an MBA at Pepperdine and kind of really sharpened my tools. It was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, aside from the family and the kids and all that, to just get out and just challenge myself, step outside of my comfort zone. And I've been doing that ever since. Got into a deal, went horribly wrong, yet the oil was in the ground. And I'd seen that. And for a kid that grew up in downtown Chicago in an apartment building, to be out in a cow patch and see black gold, as they say, coming out of the ground, it's a little like Beverly Hillbillies, right? We grew up with that show going on. And it was just like, I'm staying. I'm not leaving. So I got the bug. My training took me to, started pointing out inefficiencies really quickly. And I just didn't understand why that was the case. This is before AI, before all this, 5 years ago, right after COVID, or right during COVID, this all happened. And then from there, I'm just like, okay, this is super inefficient. I got to figure something out. So I just put together little off-the-shelf monitoring things and things to do with these oil wells. These are stripper wells that nobody wants. They're abandoned. They're orphaned. But there's still oil down there. I mean, I see it coming out, right? And that's kind of an amazing thing. So how do I make it, all work? And how do I make it work from this wonderful device they created, the iPhone, or any type of smartphone, so I can kind of be in touch, right? I really wanted to talk to the wells. Can I get the wells to talk to me? That's really what this was about. And we don't have $100 million for a SaaS program, right? We're not Exxon, we're not Chevron, right? So I built this company and built this platform and got really smart guys, a lot smarter than I am. I'm the visionary guy. I'm good at building teams. And that's kind of how this whole thing happened.
Awesome. So let's talk about this specific thing. What is this thing that happened? So to the layman who's trying to understand, and I'm using the word layman because there's a show as we're recording this right now, landman. I keep thinking about that as
that's kind of close, a little smaller.
A little smaller.
The wells aren't as big as that yet, but they're going to be.
So help the listeners understand exactly what this technology that you're thinking about is doing and how it's innovating and changing maybe the whole space potentially, if it has the potential to do so.
It's a multi-tiered program, really. Well, so the first part is, and the biggest problem in the oil and gas business is, okay, I want to be in the oil and gas business. If you made that decision from an investor perspective, how do I spend the least amount of money as possible figuring out what I want to do? So really, we created a derisking program is what it winds up doing. It really tells you where not to put your money. That's how it started, right? Don't put your money over here. You have a higher chance, like it's called probability. They call it P. So P50, P70, I know it might be a little over some people's heads, but it's basically, it's probability of failure and probability of success, right? The higher the P, the more probability of success. There's no guarantees in our business, period. Anyone that ever guarantees anybody something in the oil and gas business, run from that person. There's no guarantees. You never know what's going to happen. But so it's a probability matrix, really. So what we're trying to do is, I saw there's something called stripper wells. These are wells they're very shallow. Shallow in our world is 800 feet, 1,000 feet, below the water line, but not too much farther. And a lot of those wells where people start and they run and they leave them. They leave them for a myriad of reasons: bad management, they ran out of money, the market crapped out. Let's say like in 2016, was a bad year. 2020, oil went to zero. No one expected that. So people run away from these things and they give them back to the state. And they're called orphan wells, and they're free. So while I'm looking at this, while everyone's running, people have heard of the Permian Basin, right? That's what you see when you see that landman, right? And you see Billy Bob doing that. That's the people that we deal with, and they're going and doing $2 million whatever workovers, which is rehabbing a well. Ours is not like that, right? Ours is a lot more wells, and less expensive. So if we do make a mistake, it's a $25,000 mistake, not a $250 or $2.5 million mistake, which happens, right? I've heard about it. So that's kind of how this thing kind of came about. And then once you find those wells, then you say, okay, well now how do I get the wells to talk to me, right? The oil field's dynamic, it's moving. So it's underground. Everything's connected. We're humans. We're connected to the earth. You hear a lot about grounding and the food and all these things that are going on, right? So it's all really connected, as we are connected to plants and animals and all that. So we're connected to Mother Earth. So my idea was maybe a harebrained idea at the time. People thought I was crazy. Was how can we get the wells to anticipate what's going to happen in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next month, let's say, for example. So I need to do with something that's called telemetry. So I put a bunch of sensors, kind of off the shelf stuff, put them down, but had someone build a program to get them all to kind of talk to each other. It's just basically it's a data mining situation. Yeah. And you need tons and tons of data, right? So once you have the data happening, that's great. Then all of a sudden AI hits. And AI was already there. It's called just machine learning, really what it is. This is not a bunch of Optimus Prime robots out there in the oil field. Yeah, maybe one day that will happen, right? But it's not there yet. So, but this is just crunching a lot of data really fast, right? Something where you'd have to pay humans to do it. And humans, unfortunately, have needs: sleep, food, rest, bathroom breaks, vacations. So if and they take a long time. And a challenge we had was we were running into problems where by the time we got the data back, we spent $250,000 to get to a no, don't go here. Oh, what? That's an unscalable business right there. We're all out of business, right? We're in the food line at that point. So that's how it started. Then we get down, we get the wells all talking to each other, and now we have a huge property that we've acquired, and it's about 8,000 acres, 800 wells. And so now we're putting in there, and we're taking historically half a barrel to a barrel a day wells, okay? And we're doing 3 to 4 times that now because we're monitoring them. We allow the field, and other people are doing this, don't get me wrong, from a telemetry perspective, other people are doing it, right? But I don't think they're collecting the data and they're going to be able to use and sell the data down the road, right? So it's a big in-house thing that we're doing. It's not really for sale. We're not going to necessarily monetize it outside of our own use yet. But there are some things that will happen in end of next year.
So this is pretty fascinating stuff. And I was going to ask the question, as the technology continues to advance and the data is able to be accessible by all different people and even larger competitors, I imagine it's that, to your point of not knowing where to, making the decision of don't go there, but this is not the answer we need to go to. Eventually, the larger players might say, well, we want to get every little ounce of juice out of the ground, if you would. What keeps the larger players from just taking everything else out versus the more innovative entrepreneurial folks having a chance to do that? I would love to just understand the landscape because as this becomes more accessible and the data is there, it is going to be a little bit of we don't want the little guy to survive, or maybe that isn't worth the time and investment. I would love to know like where that line of demarcation comes in from the bigger players.
Well, so you have extremely big, right?
Yeah.
The big three, the big five, right? Those guys are doing like ConocoPhillips right now is buying Marathon, $22 billion deal. Do they want to do a $10 million deal? No, right? What we're doing? No. $20 million deal? I mean, come on, they don't even want to do a $1 billion deal. So, but the thing that stops everybody is money. Listen, Lou, we're never going to run out of oil. It keeps being produced every single day. It's never going anywhere. We want even more and more and more and more. Now AI is coming. And electric cars and all these things. Where do you think all this is going to get powered from? Right? This is all diesel fuel. You see, everyone's watching Landman, who's probably seen that show. You see, like the last one is like, what it costs to make solar panels and cars and lithium batteries. Diesel fuel. That's how you got to get it. No one's getting it done the other way. So the big guys, they're focused in their area, but they have a different world that they live in than we do. The independent producer, which is, I know we're a small guy, they're responsible for 80% of the actual oil production that's going on there, right? The guys that are doing 20 barrels, 100 barrels a day, 200, 500 barrels a day, not 20 million barrels a day. Or I don't think that no one's doing that necessarily, but I'm just giving you an example, right? They're looking at the big stuff. Why? Because it's about future for them. It's a stock market thing. They're public companies. We may or may not go that way. We're in a dress rehearsal to become public. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, but we're not necessarily there yet. So these guys, and bandwidth, right? You have a finite amount of whatever. Even though these guys are huge, they might only have a $5 billion drilling budget, right? So that's a finite thing. Right? There's a constraint, right? That's what the world's about, constraints. So how do they become super efficient? And you have a commodity price that everyone's trying to live inside this 10-year window of 1 year great, 9 years bad, 10 bad years, 10 great years, or something in the middle, right? You don't know from a commodity perspective. As long as that oil stays above $50 a barrel, we're good because we're really efficient. That's what this is about. It's getting rid of headcount, right? I took a field that had 45 people that had to run it. I can run it with 5.
Wow.
Lot. Yeah. It's because I can't control a commodity price. It's not up to me, right? It's up to the traders and the big guys, the deep state, whoever you want to say is in charge of it. It's not us little guys, that's for sure.
So Josh, there's an interesting take going on out there. This was discussed by a lot of the larger tech players, that the amount of energy that is required to maintain all of the systems and computers and AI and servers around the world is growing at such an unbelievable rate that it's actually becoming difficult to power all of the stuff that's there, which is actually left to a big shift to the oil that is, to oil, which is storageable and whatnot. I'd love to get your take on that, because there's some irony in this, right? That the world is constantly building up to a level of energy we need to maintain, but to process all the servers and pieces that are there. Your take on this space of where things are going and how that plays into the space that you're in.
So I think electrification is not as big as, at least from a car perspective and moving vehicle perspective, big trucks, planes. I think hydrogen is going to be a big deal when it comes to that. And not the hydrogen you make from water, that's different. The stuff that's in the ground is really deep. So I think that's going to be a big play. They're doing a lot of work there. I think you hear, Microsoft or somebody bought 3 Mile Island, right?
Yeah.
Nuclear is going to be a big deal, especially for these types of things. I mean, we'll be Star Trek Enterprise, and where you have nuclear, engines running things like they do. They have the technology's there, right? They already have it. That's how they run submarines forever. Right. And I think from an oil and gas perspective, it's not going to stop. Even Billy Bob Thornton said on there, he's like, the thing that's going to hurt us is that before we figure out a way to get away from oil and gas, that we'll probably run out of it. And this is way past our kids' lifetimes. Yeah. But at some point, it's just going to take a really long time. So I think when people are being innovative, and we'll talk about the mining stuff, right? So they're stopping a lot of that. Hey, they're going to start really monitoring the grid a lot better than they have been, because it's very expensive to do a lot of these things, right? Yeah. So you have to have these cogeneration facilities. They do it, by the way, in other countries. So let's say you go to Jamaica, or you've been on the Caribbean, or you've been to Mexico. They all have cogeneration. The government doesn't provide part of your, I'm going to build a hotel, I'm going to build a REU, I'm going to build something. You need a cogeneration plant, but it takes diesel,
Yeah.
right? And there might be some other stuff too.
Josh, you've had an interesting career that's been all over the place. Lots of different industries. What is it about this specific opportunity, what you're doing now at Pytheas, that is exciting you the most and getting you pumped to wake up every day?
The scale, well, it's a giant puzzle. I'm a puzzle guy. So, and it's something that, people figured out 100 years ago with no YouTube, no one else to talk to, and no rules. And I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. That's how I started. This one is really something where I like to, to me personally, this is a culmination of everything that I've done, right? It's finance. So I was a correspondent lender back in the day for many, had $100 million correspondent lending. That's just a guy that, buys all the mortgages, a big
Right.
mortgage company. Before it all went to nothing. That changed my life. And I was also a builder. So when I did that, and I also had built grow houses out in California when it went legal. I was because that was my construction business. So I got some licenses to do that when everything went legal. We were building big facilities out there. That's when it went crazy, right? And then the big guys came in. So I did a lot of consulting for that. So I took all that when I got out there and I said, you know what? This is exactly everything I've done in my life. I'm just moving fluid around, right? It's a big plumbing job and it's a big rehab construction job. It just never ends. That's what this is. And I put my finance hat on as well. And I'm like, okay, I can do this and put this all together. I'm just building teams, subcontractors, contractors, general contractors. And it's almost like a little movie-esque, right? You're making a movie, right? Because you're selling the future. You're showing people, here's what this can look like. Here's what it did. Here's where I can take it. Now I'm going to take it to the next level. And it's all about the team.
Josh, you wear a lot of hats within this role. You're leading the company. You're coming up with the vision. You're dealing with the technology folks. You're dealing with investors, the outside investor community, and obviously getting the management and the operations of this. When you wake up each morning, is there a particular hat you like putting on more than any other?
Well, I do have a hobby too, but it's in between. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm on my computer. I'm talking to the field guys, and I'm on a plane. I'm in Texas. I'm currently not there now, but I'm in Texas every other week, 4 days. I'm a hard hat guy because I was in the construction business. So I'm out there. I try not to do the super dangerous stuff anymore. I did that a little bit, but I don't think everyone's like, yeah, why don't you back up? That's really not a good idea. So, things happen out there. Nothing horrible, but it could. It's a dangerous spot, and going out there is really where I like to be, right? I love to be out there. Unfortunately, my time to be out there has to be limited because I still am the visionary. I'm still the guy that has to be out. I have to be at, let's say, we were just at Mar-a-Lago the other day. We're having an event on December 11th. It's already booked up for investors or soon to be investors. We're raising $25 million in another fund that we're doing, Blue Ocean Fund. And finishing out our crowd fund, which is very successful. So you're constantly raising money. So you go from suit and tie to hard hat, right? And it's instant, So it's just like, I think I like the whole thing, but I also like I don't do the same thing every day. I don't just sit there and, plug a hole, right? I plug many holes, obviously. That's what I do. I'm a professional hole plugger. But I'm also out there really just, changing things up, right? Go from a podcast to, a meeting with our Bitcoin guys, which we'll talk about in a second, and kind of coming up with that cool new thing, which I'd kind of been messing around in my head for a bunch of years, and how to do that, how to get more value out of things that we have. I'm just an opportunity guy. I see things. I'm like, well, wow, okay, why aren't we just doing this? Why aren't we just doing that, right? But it's very capital intensive, but the returns are massive. And I think we're in a good spot, especially the next 4 years. I think we're in a good spot.
Let's talk about the Bitcoin. Share with the things that you guys are doing in that innovative way and where things are going. And to your point, we're recording this in early December. We just had guests a couple of weeks ago of two guys that literally are running a fund of funds that focuses on digital currency and how the change in administration has already been a big boom within the digital currency space. Talk to me about what you're seeing within the Bitcoin world.
Yeah, that's interesting because David Sachs from All In, right, our All in One podcast with Chamath and all those guys, we were just literally sitting next to him at Mar-a-Lago 2 days ago. I was wondering why he was there. Then, of course, they announced today that he's now the crypto czar for the White House, right? So, which is pretty cool. I never seen him in a suit. I always see him in that baseball hat. I watched that show pretty intensely. But anyway, yeah. So basically, the biggest cost, the people that don't know about Bitcoin is it's the cost of the electricity. So a lot of these guys are buying power plants. They want to be in agriculture and so they can get better rates, right? But it's very expensive, the electricity cost, to cool and mine these coins through these computers. I thought about 4 years ago when obviously Bitcoin wasn't where it's at now, and it was on its way up, and then it got smashed again for a couple of years. So that whole thought went away because that's how life is, right? So basically, what we're doing is and you guys have heard by what we're trying to do is, and what we are doing is, we're going to use what's called flare gas. So when you drill a well and you're coming and oil comes out of the ground, it's called crude, right? There's what's called condensate. There's liquid condensate and gas, right? There's natural gas. It's all in there together. Some of it has more than the other, right? So if there's not a way to get rid of the gas, you have to flare it off. You can't just let it go into the air. One point, it's dangerous. You burn it. So that's going to and that's the whole, you're putting all this methane in the air and some other stuff, right? So there's an issue there, but there's also an opportunity there because now there's a green credit that you can get by doing that. So what we do is we get these huge 40-foot containers, Caterpillar, that are engines, right? They're generators, and they have a feeder source in, and you capture that gas, you stick it in there, it converts. It's an engine and can produce electricity, like a big alternator, right?
Yeah.
And then you run it that way. Well, your kilowatt cost goes down quite a bit. So now obviously your profit per coin goes up. Now, at $100 a coin or $98 a coin, it's very profitable anyway. It might go back to 30. You don't know, right? So again, just like our business is the same. It's not about how much you're making. It's, a sustainable business in my world is a business that stays in business. It's not really a green thing necessarily, but you want to use all these ups in the market and these opportunities. So what you're doing is you're taking this gas and you're either land banking these coins, or you're using it to maybe cover a little deficit during downtimes, and you kind of bank this stuff. So we're literally putting these containers, which are just containers that you stack, right? You see like a truck, right? 40-foot container, and you stack them on top of each other. You tie them together on a pad, and you just run them, and you just mine coin, and you mine coin. And there's different types of coins. We're starting with the Bitcoin, and there's Ethereum, and some other stuff.
And this is great because you're doing it, like you said, off. It's not using the electricity from the regular grid, not charging it that way, and you're doing it with the own stuff that you're doing, which is pretty cool.
Correct. They have enough issues, and that's going to get very expensive. And there's the permitting that's going to get hard. I know with the regulation, we'll probably go away for that. But there's only a finite amount of electricity. Electricity that's produced at a power plant, by the time it gets to your house, it's like a single % of what it was when it came off that line. Because we have an old system, so it's just you lose all that power in the transmission. So now you're able to absorb all that transmission. You get green credits, you get MCF, which is how they measure gas. So in oil and gas business, crude is measured in barrels of oil. So gas is measured in metric, 1,000 cubic feet, MCF, right?
Right.
So this will take today's price, I think, is around $3. This allows you to either, this basically increases your MCF to about $12.
Amazing.
Somewhere, yeah, which is crazy. I mean, and that's what gas is around the world, except in America, because we have more of it than anywhere, and we have no way of getting it out of here yet. They're working on that, and then that will go up. But by the way, these are oil and gas deals. We're not just going out there and just mining. This is an extra add-on. The deals stand on their own first. That's how we found out about it. We found through our platform, our proprietary platform, some areas that, hey, that might work. And at $2 gas and without the mining component, ho-hum.
Yeah.
Honestly. The deal was like, yeah, it's okay, to me, it's not amazing. This makes it unbelievably amazing.
It's like an multiplier effect on top of what you're already doing.
It's like your IRR goes from it's in the 20s and the 50s potentially, right? So again, there's never a guarantee in our business. You don't know what's going to happen again, but you're dealing with another fluctuating commodity, right? The Bitcoin price, the gas price, the crude price.
I like it. This your general thing is you recognize there's certain things that are out of control. You focus on the things that are within your control, and you do your best to optimize and maximize each one of those things. A very cool bit. Josh,
De-risk it all.
yeah,
De-risk everything.
He's the de-risker. I like this.
The de-risker.
So Josh, we love asking guests this question. Look, you've been thriving throughout your career, and obviously have something really cool right now, which means on most days you're kicking on all cylinders and you're thriving. Yet we all have those days when we're a little off our game. Josh, when you have days when you're not thriving, what practice do you seek, or maybe what individual do you seek out to help get yourself back on the thriving track?
So I have recently, since COVID, I was always a fit guy. I'm a fit guy again. And I was a very fit guy, and like every guy, or most guys, especially in America and with the food system and all that, I wound up gaining, 2.5 pounds a year while I raised my family and built my business. So next thing you know, I look at myself and I'm like, who is this guy? So I went on, and I'm a pretty intense guy. And I'm very obsessive. So I said, you know what, I'm going to change everything. So I went on a self-taught protocol, and I just stopped. Basically, I went to 750 calorie a day deal for 40 days, lost 40 pounds in 40 days. Got over my sugar thing, which everyone has, and I'll go to McDonald's, I'll have one egg McMuffin, I'll have one piece of cake, I'll have a pizza. I'm also from Chicago, so I'm also, a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers and that kind of stuff. We grew up on that stuff, but the ingredients are bad. So from there, I kind of, as I got myself fixed, I realized, I think I have some other problems. And I met a lot of healers, and I met a lot of naturopaths. And so now my hobby is wellness, because I kind of fixed myself, and other people were like, hey, how did you do it? And there's only one answer, and I'll share it with everybody. You got to stop eating. There's no other way. But then you also have to fix the damage that you've created. And a guy in his late 50s has created, I had calcification in my arteries. That's gone. I've been able to take that away all naturally. I had fatty liver. I had gallstones in my, all these things. And I'm like, I don't want any of this inside of me, right? And I'm looking at an impending heart attack or stroke. We all are, if you have metabolic syndrome. So what I do is right from here, I'm in my bathing suit actually right now. That little Mr. Wonderful here. I did have the branded t-shirt, but normally, I'm going to go down to the beach, and I'm going to walk, do my 2 miles in the sand with the shirt off. I ground every day. I sleep with a grounding sheet. That's my balance, right? Because it's very intense, right? Things go up and down, and you have one great day, then you get a phone call. You're like, oh my God, the world's over, right? We all have that. That's outside of my family. And I have 2 wonderful teenage daughters, and a wife. I'm a girl dad. So, that's a whole dynamic. And I grew up in an all boy family. So all this is new. I don't know. I never had a sister who was going through all these things, right? I never had new boyfriends and first boyfriends and all that. I was the enemy. I was on the other side of it. So my kids are like, who are you? How do you know? I'm like, oh, I know. I know, as you know, too, right? We were that guy, I'm that girl. So, yeah. So it's just balance, you got to keep yourself in balance. You got to eat the right thing. I'm pretty strict. I have some fun here and there, but I'm a heavy carnivore person. I do eat fruit and some other stuff. I follow all the guys that everyone sees, all the doctors and, Asprey and all those guys and Brecca and all those guys, they all have great morsels in there. And it's kind of like, to me, it's exciting. And there's some people that want to put their head in the sand, like an ostrich. I want to pay attention to it.
I had a guest on the show a long time ago. We went through the whole, do you eat to live or do you live to eat? And and there's some, there's been the more scientific proof about the what minimal amounts that we need and making sure we get the nutrients that we have versus the maximizing piece. But of course, we also love food. People love to enjoy, things because there's so many savory things, and there's a lot of connections that don't even have to do with the fact that we're hungry. That it's really where a satisfying, they always say that the sense of smell is the most nostalgic. It's the same idea. Like certain things bring you to happy places, and it's part of the satisfaction piece of it. Our brains are pretty amazing. Anyway, let's do the admin part of the show. Josh, do me a favor. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, learn about Pytheas, other things that are coming up for the company itself. This is your chance to plug it. The floor is yours.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate this. So basically, my name is Josh Zuker, Zuker. No C in my last name. It's a very common mistake. Our company is called Pytheas Energy, Pytheas Energy Incorporated. You go to pytheasenergy.com to our website. You can also, we just finished out we're in the last stages of figuring out what's called a crowd fund or Reg CF. It's SEC. That's our forward-facing, pretending to be a public company. We're really in a dress rehearsal, if that's what you want to look at it as. So we're getting everything in order from the audits and that kind of stuff. We had beginning of this year, we launched it. We had the fastest selling crowd fund, maybe not in history, but for sure in the beginning of this year, Q1, Q2. You can go to equifund.com and look at Pytheas Energy. They also have I'll plug them. They're a fantastic group of guys. They have a platform for startups to come out and get there. So we'll be finishing that out. We also have a Mar-a-Lago event that's happening here. We'll be posting information about that. And we have a new fund that we're launching, which is that have the Bitcoin and all the mining and all the cool other deals, drilling deals and some other stuff we're going in. That's about $25 million first round coming in. That's for accredited investors, though. I have to say that, and that's special. A little bit more of a special deal. The other one is for, I want to put in $500 and non-accredited, and I'll take the ride. Please don't ever put in your last money, and your expectations. Please, everybody, keep your expectations real, right? You get what you pay for. Do your due diligence. Talk to a financial advisor. Talk to your legal if you have it. And if this isn't just don't put in your last dollar. But again, that's kind of what we're doing there. And you can go to the Blue Ocean. We'll post more, but I think it's blueoceanfundsllc.com. You probably get more information. Blue Ocean Funds. And that's what we are, right? We're blue ocean guys. We're not red ocean. We don't want to be out there where the sharks are. We don't want to be where there's, it's a bloodbath, as it really is. We go where there's blue ocean, there's lots of opportunities, and there's a lot of room for everyone to make money. So not everyone has to be greedy. And people have to stab each other in the back. Oil and gas business is cutthroat, Lou. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough business. I know all businesses are. But this is where all the stuff started, right? A lot of the schemes and scams and Ponzi's and all that stuff, it started. We see in the movies. That's where it comes from.
All right, Josh Zuker, you ready to go down Fun Street here on Thrive Loud? I know you are. I know he is.
Yes.
He's ready to go for the beach walk, so we got him in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
So
can't wait. What a gorgeous day we're having.
Can you share with the listener, Josh, if you have an all-time favorite movie or one that if it happens to be on, you're automatically sucked in? Got to watch it.
Well, so there's, first of all, any of the Star Wars. In 1976, Esquire Theater on Oak Street. I remember going and walking back and around when I was like 9 years old, I think. All the Star Wars, but for sure the first trilogy. I would say any of the Mel Brooks. And we were just talking last night with my brother, and Slapshot, right? Slapshot, the Hanson Brothers, all the things that they can't do anymore, right? Those are really those would be the ones I watch over and over and over. The comedies, the Airplanes, the original, those types of ones.
So if you get a chance, if you haven't done so already, listen to the audiobook of Mel Brooks. At 93, he recorded it. He's now 97 at the time we're recording this. And it is an amazing life this guy has led, and he is sharp as a tack as he's reading his content and everything. And he goes chronologically from every movie he's ever made. You'd love it. You'd be a good listen the next time you're traveling wherever you go. All right.
Yeah. I love
we're gonna do the speed round here. Here's how it works. First thing that comes to your mind, we call this the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. Basically, This is Speakeasy is our methodology over here on Thrive Loud, and this is a Fun Street Stroll where we're going to stop at all of Josh's favorite places. Here we go.
Okay.
Josh, of late, is there a song that you've been listening to, or a jam, or one of your favorite things that loves to pump you up?
So I'm an extreme Deadhead.
Oh, okay.
To the top. They just announced another Sphere run. What I can tell you, 1985, I found them. That's what's on my channel 23 on my Sirius XM. I exclusively listen to them all the time. That's my thing, and that's my jam. Any and all things Grateful Dead.
Like it.
And there's nothing specific.
These are going to be interesting for the topics of what they are. Favorite food that is not a dessert.
Favorite food that's not a dessert, I would say an Italian beef from Al's Beef or Mr. Beef, Chicago.
Favorite dessert?
Chocolate cake.
Okay. An activity you wish you did more of?
Lifting weights.
Okay. An activity you wish you did less of?
Conference calls.
A new activity, one that Josh Zuker has recently tried that he likes so much he wants to tell all of our listeners and viewers to try.
Windsurfing. I
Okay.
did it once. I would like to, and paddleboarding. Anything that gets you out on the water. I was never really into those things. Where I didn't live in a place where I had access to them. Now I'm in South Florida at least half the time. So it's pretty amazing.
Josh, if I could snap my fingers and you could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
I'm in Italy half the year, and I'm in Jamaica the other half of the year.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, the good food, good environment, and then the relaxation of Jamaica. Love it. Josh Zuker, Pytheus Energy. We're going to put all the links in the show notes here for everybody to check it out. Thank you for coming on this program, sharing all these cool things you're doing. This is pretty exciting stuff, and only continued success to you, and hope everything works out your way.
And you as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Thank you, everybody.
You got it. To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.